Hey guys, just wanted to welcome you guys to a lesson on how to actually collect reoccurring payments from your clients. Now this is a really important and vital step in any business, how to actually increase the fluency with cash flow. So what we're going to be talking about today is recurring payments. And the first step that you have to focus on is actually getting authorization from the client. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get a billing authorization form. Now there are many templates online that are free. I personally recommend, if you want to take one online, always make sure to get it edited by a lawyer or a legal professional to make sure that everything is included inside of that billing authorization form. So the first thing that you're going to want to talk about with the client is the billing date, right? You want to make sure that if they're going to be paying you guys, that the billing date is set. So make sure that if they're going to be billed every single month, it's on a consistent day. So if they want the first week of the month, the last week of the month, every 15th of the month, or the first of the month, make sure that you have that in writing on the billing authorization form. That way there's no confusion moving forward. Okay, the second thing you're going to want to talk about is how much you're going to be billing them, right? They don't want to have any hidden charges. You want to make sure that you're not overbilling them, underbilling them. So make sure that if you're going to be billing them a retainer fee, it's going to be the $2,500, $1,500, $5,000 a month. Put that in writing. And also, if you're going to be billing them an additional advertising budget, if they're not going to be paying for it up front, make sure you put that in the form too. And make sure that you segregate those so that they understand what's for the retainer fee and what's for the advertising budget. This will help you not only protect yourself should anything come for chargebacks from the merchant processor, or if anything actually goes to a court, you want to make sure that you can protect yourself legally. Third thing that you're going to focus on, and this is the most crucial aspect of a billing form, make sure that they have a copy of it and you as well. The reason why this is important is because in the legality of things, if they don't have what's called due process, so if they don't have a form that says this is what you're going to be billing them, they can argue that this wasn't actually something that they agreed to. So make sure that you get a copy of the billing authorization form. I'm going to shorten that to BAF. And make sure that they have a copy in hand, and you also have a copy on file for yourself. So these are the three things that you're going to want to make sure every billing authorization form has: the billing date, the money, whether it's the retainer fee, the ad budget, okay, or both. Sorry for the poor handwriting. Make sure that it's the retainer fee and the ad budget, that they're separate. Make sure that they have a copy of it. Make sure you have a copy of it too. And the last part is make sure that it's notarized. So the way that you can notarize these forms is fairly simple. It's free to notarize. You can go to the local bank. You can go, I think, to a library actually, and they can notarize it. Essentially what notarization does to a form is it legalizes it in the state's eyes. So if you have a billing form, you want to make sure that somebody else recognizes that it got done. That way there's a third party unbiased to actually say, yes, this was agreed upon. Not only does the client understand this, but the person understands it who's billing. So make sure that you have all these four bullet points. And if you do this correctly, we can move on to part 2 in the lesson. This is what I recommend to you guys. Ask yourself this question. Are you going to want to risk not being able to bill the client should you not have this form? Now, obviously, you want to make sure that you cover your trail, but at the same time, make sure that the billing authorization form seems very comfortable. You don't want the client to feel pressured into signing this. People sometimes don't have the comfort level to store a credit card on file or to give their accounting and their routing numbers out. But as long as you can assure them that this is something that is going to secure them in the long run, this will be something that's an asset to both of you. So I hope this helps, guys. Look at lesson 2 for how this is actually going to be put online so that you don't have to manually invoice them. Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of how to set up reoccurring payments for the SMMA program. So this is really, really important. Now that you have the billing authorization form, you're going to want to make sure that you have that on file, but now you can actually add that to all of these websites. So I'm going to be going in depth on what each and every one of these websites are. I'm sure some of you are familiar with PayPal. You guys know what banks are, but I want to go a little bit more in depth with what ProPay is and what Stripe.com is. So first and foremost, ProPay.com is a merchant account system. They actually give you a debit card. They are authorized with MasterCard, and I personally use ProPay for a couple of my different clients. And the reason why ProPay is a good tool is because it not only allows you to leverage cash flow for your business, I like to also make sure that ProPay is a good system for interacting with my clients. So you can not only choose to do manual invoicing on ProPay, whether it's through email, whether you actually want to print it out and deliver it to them via mail or in person, but you can actually set up auto reoccurring payments through ProPay too. So what you can do is you can store a debit or a credit on file. They give you their own templates for billing authorization forms should you not have one. And this is a free service to use, by the way. This is a totally free service. They don't require you to pay anything. You can go to propay.com, you put in all your business information, and what they'll do is they'll set you up with a merchant account. And this allows you to collect funds from business owners for retainer fees or for advertising budgets. Now, PayPal.com, this is a system that I think we're all fairly familiar with. This is something that I've used personally for many different opportunities. PayPal is a manual invoice system as well too, but they've recently allowed a button that you can install on your website, and if the client purchases it through your website with that button, they can actually set up a recurring payment system. Now the PayPal button is still a little bit buggy. I'm trying to actually use it on my website still, and it's kind of technical. I would recommend that it's something along the lines of Stripe 2 where you need to have some coding background or some information of the language on how to put this button on your website. And the reason why it's important to use a more basic system first is because you don't want to mess up the billing in case there's some type of technical error. And two, it's always good to make sure that you have the retainer fee on a recurring basis as easily as possible. So use PayPal for manual invoicing if you're wanting to not have a recurring payment set up right away, but you're looking to have just an ease of access button on your website that they can set it up. Otherwise, I would recommend using ProPay. The third thing is your banks. Now, if you use Bank of America or Chase Bank or even a local bank that's a state branch, they actually will give you a merchant account system. So they might give you a card reader that you can attach to your iPhone or your Android phone. You can not only swipe cards, and that's a way to take payments, but they'll also usually give you some type of app, and that app is associated with either a merchant account system online or an iCloud-based software where you can not only maintain the invoices that are going to be reoccurring that you can actually use on the apps. For me personally, Chase and Bank of America are the two banks that I use. They both have apps where you can send manual invoices, but if you talk to the representatives at the bank, they can help facilitate that for you. Just make sure to talk to the banks themselves because I know that each state differs. The last one is Stripe. Stripe.com, it uses application program interfaces. Now, this is something that I've actually outsourced personally for one of my clients. The reason why I outsourced this was because I don't have the coding knowledge 100% down, and I'd rather use somebody's skill set over mine trying to learn that. So Stripe.com is an application program interface. What this allows you to do is use very technical cloud-based language. So it's an iCloud software program, and it can take the payments, and it will not only track the payment for MasterCard, Visa, or if it's a routing number, it'll store all that sensitive information. But truthfully, what it does is it helps you, similar to QuickBooks.com. It sorts out all the different payments. So if you have 3 clients that are on Visa, it'll actually store that in just Visa. If you have MasterCards, it'll store all those in MasterCards. So it's a preference. I personally enjoy it because it helps me differentiate, okay, what are the clients who are using Visa? What are the clients that are using MasterCard? And it also gives you expiration date reminders. So in case a client has an expiration date of, let's say, February of 2018, you want to make sure that the client also understands that in the billing authorization form, they'll have to produce a new card for the reoccurring payment. Stripe gives you help, and they'll actually give you assistance on how to go about and collecting that. So I hope that makes sense, guys. This is part 2 on how to actually set up reoccurring payments. These are 4 different tools that I've used in the past, and I'm actually currently using banks and PayPal right now. If you guys are interested in using a paid software, I actually like QuickBooks.com. They use a merchant account system called Intuit. It is a pay per monthly service. I think it's anywhere between $10 and $40 a month. And I think right now they have a half off special. So for right now, I think it's 50% off for the next 6 months. So it's half off half the year. So instead of $10 a month, it's $5 a month. And instead of $40, it's $28 or something like that. So if you guys want to try out one of these free softwares and free platforms to use first, go ahead and do that. If you guys want to go ahead and start off with QuickBooks, it's a pay per service. It's also a really, really great program. So I hope this helps you guys. And last question to close this session out, I really want you to think about how you guys are wanting to structure the billing. Because this is truthfully the one thing that can either make or break a relationship with a client. If you mess up the money, that's going to really put clients off. It's going to put them at a point where they don't want to necessarily give their trust back to you right away. So truthfully, make sure that you're providing not only a great service, but also a great process. And so that's why I personally like to use QuickBooks.com and Intuit. It's a great merchanting account system, and they have all the customer service that you would need in case there's ever a billing issue. But like I said, if you guys want to use one of these free services first, go right ahead. So make sure that you're focusing on how to increase the business long-term using processing systems, and we'll see you guys on the next lesson. So now we're going to be talking about the fees for every single merchant account system. So ProPay, I really enjoy ProPay. I think personally they have one of the best competitive rates. For me, when I started out using them, it was I think 3.35% plus a flat rate of I think 30 cents per transaction. Now, it might seem high, but truthfully, if you're getting into business, you're going to not have the cash flow and the capital backing you or the track record with credit. So a lot of these other systems are going to charge you maybe a little bit higher, or the percent transaction is going to be way higher. So instead of 30 cents, it's going to be 60 or 90 cents. For PayPal, I believe it's also around 3%. PayPal is good. I recommend using PayPal, but sometimes it's a little bit more complex of a system since you have to link banks to this platform. Sometimes there's transfer fees, and there's debiting fees, and there's withdrawal fees. So although 3% for just an initial billing transaction might seem good, it might not actually turn out to be 3% after all the transactions are done. You might get 3% for a billing charge, you might get 2% for the withdrawal fee, and you might get 1% for a random other transaction. So just be careful about what they call hidden fees. I want to make sure you guys are saving as much as you can using all these platforms. Banks are also very competitive. Banks are understanding that the game is changing. A lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs were trying to go online and use ProPay and use PayPal. So banks, they're staying pretty competitive, although I still think they're quite behind. A lot of the banks, they charge anywhere between 4 to 6% for fees, and they might charge the same as ProPay.com, which is 25 cents per transaction. So it's a lot higher than what you would naturally find online. But as you grow a relationship with the banks, this is the one thing that I think having an in-person relationship with your banker does. For me, now that I've had a proven track record with Bank of America, they actually offered me a lower rate because I'm bringing them such additional frequent business. So right now, I think I started off with Bank of America around 3.2% with a 35-cent transaction fee. Now it's at 1.9%. And I don't know if the cost per transaction changed. I think it's 30 cents now. So that's also a good thing to think about in the future. If you're going to be having a long-standing relationship with a bank for your business, maybe it's a good route for you guys to take. And Stripe.com, I don't recommend actually using Stripe.com if you're going to be starting out first. It's a little bit more complex, like I said, for programming. It's just an option if you guys have that coding knowledge. Maybe you guys want to try it out. It's a little bit easier, but it does charge a little bit higher in fees. I think Stripe actually charges 3.5 to 4%. So it's a little bit higher than ProPay and PayPal, and maybe your bank will be able to price match for Stripe.com. So that's the fees. I hope that makes sense, guys. Make sure to obviously check with each and every one of them, because right now it might be a different price 12 months from now. So make sure that you guys are checking with the fees, and I hope this helps. Hey guys, just want to let you also know there's 2 other things that I want you to make sure you're doing in terms of recurring payments. The first thing that you want to talk about with the business owner is what type of card they're going to be storing. I'm not just talking about Visa versus MasterCard, right? I'm not talking about, the Freedom card for Chase versus another form. I'm talking about if it's a personal card that they use for personal transactions like groceries versus a corporate card or a commercial card for company purchases like supplies or anything like that. The reason why this is important is because certain companies, certain corporations, they require for bookkeeping purposes level 2 data. And this is only required for corporate cards or commercial cards. So what level 2 data requires that personal cards don't is 2 different things. The first thing is a customer code. That way for invoicing purposes, they can immediately identify where the transaction is coming from. And 2, they also want to be talking about what specifically is being purchased. So it's the invoice summary. Those are the 2 things required for a commercial level 2 data card. And the second thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is also a little bit of customer relationship management. Make sure you're talking to the owners about not only when you're going to be debiting them and how much you're going to be debiting them and why you're going to be debiting them, but also make sure that you're giving them reminders, right? Because they're very busy. They're going to be thinking, okay, I have to balance this and I have to balance that week 1, week 2, week 3. Make sure that you're sending them reminders just in case if they want to pay you but maybe don't have the funds due to a tight cash flow for a month, let's say. You can give them a reminder, let's say a week ahead, and say, hey, your invoice is coming out on the 7th this month per our agreement. They can send you an email back and say, hey, wait, can you wait until Monday? Or let's do it early because I have a couple of transactions coming out the 2nd week and I just want to get it out of the way and balance it. So it's a really good tactic to make sure you're talking with these owners and sending them reminders. And then also what I personally like to do is when the transaction is completed, also send them a completion notice to their email. And usually that involves with these merchant accounts an authorization code, and have somebody inside of their bookkeeping actually give you a response saying, yes, I got this authorization code. That way the process is streamlined. So make sure you're talking to them about personal versus commercial use for cards, and also email notification reminders before the payment and after the payment's done. I hope this helps you guys. Good luck.